Did you ever come across a photo in your genealogy research you can't seem to identify? I have too, so I decided to see if AI could help me do so. I was inspired by the YouTube channel Forgotten Lines, so I'll put a link to his channel in the description. To see how well ChatGPT could handle this kind of mystery, I decided to start with one that's been puzzling me for a while now. The picture in question is the photograph of the little girl at the center of the two young girls and two young women depicted in the collage you're seeing right now. That photo has been on my father's nightstand for several years and is supposed to be a picture of my mother as a very young child. However, to me she doesn't resemble the other individuals in the collage, who I know are indeed my mother at various stages of her life. Two as a young girl and two as a young adult. So I am going to put ChatGPT to the test. Let's see what happens. So the first thing that I did was grab all 5 of those photos and post them into ChatGPT. And then I asked it, can you definitively determine whether or not the little girl in the very first picture is the same person as the girls and women in the rest of the pictures? And here's its response. No, I cannot definitively determine that the little girl in the first photograph is the same person as the girls and women in the later photographs. Even though these appear to be family photographs taken over many years, I can't confirm that 2 photos show the same real person based on facial appearance alone. What I can do is compare non-identifying visual characteristics and whether the sequence appears consistent or inconsistent with a single individual aging over time. What appears consistent across the photos? Light complexion throughout. Light-colored eyes appear in the later photographs and could be present in the first, though the first image's color cast makes eye color uncertain. A generally narrow, oval face develops in the later images. A relatively straight, slender nose appears throughout the later photos and isn't obviously inconsistent with the first. The ears appear to sit fairly close to the head in several photos. The progression in hairstyle matches what would have been typical for a girl growing up from the early 1940s into the late 1950s. Things that are difficult to judge. The first image is particularly challenging because it has a strong green-yellow color cast. Fine facial detail is soft. The child is quite young and facial proportions change dramatically between preschool age and adulthood. Lighting and pose differ substantially from the later portraits. Is there anything that clearly rules it out? I don't see any obvious feature that would make me say the first child cannot be the same person. Likewise, I don't see enough evidence to say that the first child is definitely the same person. My assessment, based on only the photograph, definitely the same person? No. Definitely a different person? No. Visually plausible that they depict one person over time? Yes. Nothing stands out as inconsistent with that possibility, but the photographs are not sufficient for confirmation. And then it went on to say, if your goal is genealogical identification, the strongest evidence would come from non-photographic sources such as the dated photo albums, photographer information, inscriptions on the backs of the photos, or knowing where each photograph originated. Those kinds of contextual clues are generally much more reliable than facial resemblance alone. Well, that was kind of disappointing because I really enjoy when the guy on Forgotten Lines can definitively identify the photographs that he's researching. However, the more I look at the photograph of that little girl and I compare her to the young women in the very first photograph that I posted in the lower left-hand corner, seems to have the same expression on both of their faces. So the more that I think about it, I'm deciding on my own that indeed that little girl probably is a picture of my mother. Say, if you like this kind of content, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.